got a terrible shoulder injury. Got slammed.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how well his shoulder's holding up. I mean, I'd be surprised if it's 100% by now. Because that wasn't that long ago.
It looked brutal. It was brutal. He was up against an absolute monster in that matchup, though.
Anybody who can pick Zack Wilds up off the ground and send him ass over tea kettle like that is
not good.
Horsepower. Yeah.
Not good. Just not. You don't want to mess with that guy. He went into Hulk mode. And here we go. We see Josh Hunt making his way to the cage.
You also got to respect Zack Wilds. He's got the basketball shorts and the T-shirt on, which a lot of times you're like, oh, that's somebody who's not very experienced. But when you know that guy's a black belt, you know he's just comfortable. He's like, yeah, I'll grapple somebody.
I don't think Zack was planning on grappling today. I think it's one of those things that just happened.
Yeah, I remember seeing Josh Hunt had a match with somebody whose name I didn't recognize originally, and I wasn't sure Zack was on the card, so I think he did take it on short notice, and yeah.
It's going to be a fun one. And, you know, Zack's right here in his hometown. So I'm sure there's a lot of people here rooting for him, excited to see him compete.
And then the other thing I'll say is that Josh Hunt had the unfortunate pleasure of being the uke for the Josh Barnett seminar, which is not a thing that anybody raised their hands for.
I would do it.
I thought about it, and I was like, I'll let one of these bigger boys do that.
Just for the privilege of getting strangled by that man.
From Charleston, West Virginia, in that corner, aiming to close 245 pounds, Joshua Hunt.
There's some big boys grappling.
This is probably 500 pounds a man we've got in there.
I'm not certain. I believe Josh is a purple belt under Butch.
Josh started to go for that Uchimata. Not the Uchi. See, you're embarrassing me. Trying to one-up you. It's not even an Uchimata. It's a foot sweep. That's what he was thinking about. I don't know Japanese.
Was it Dayashi Burai?
That's the one. Thank you, Colin.
We see Josh doing a good job. Both of them staying calm here, fighting for underhooks.
The Ashi Barai. You know, I always dreamed of getting really good at foot sweeps because they just seem so effortless, and when you land them, it's so sick.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of those. I really got deep into them after watching a lot of Overeem's fights, right? Because Overeem was really good at just dumping people the instant he got into the clinch.
Well, that's how he beat Pavlovich.
Yeah.
You see, Pavlovich is a murderer now.
Yeah. And Overeem was able to just foot sweep and put him on his butt and then never let him get back up, climb up on top. And that was, Eco-Reem late in his career.
I think Overeem had some of the most underrated ground and pound of any fighter in heavyweight history.
Yep. And just Overeem is one of those guys, I saw a statistic once. He was the only person that had fought professionally, one of the only people who had fought professionally in the 90s, the 2000s, the 2010s, and the 2020s.
That's bananas.
Because he made his debut in 99.
And we see Josh Hunt presses Zack Wilds up against the cage right in front of us.
He's looking for that inside leg trip there with the Ouchigari, and now he's using it, that cage position.
Now he's digging down for the single
leg.
Zack's got a hold of the neck.
He's trying to finish it as a knee tap, but not.
And he loses it.
Lost it.
But he's shrimping back to the wall.
He's going to wall walk, get right back up. When you're a big heavyweight, you don't want to be on your back. I don't care how confident you are in your guard.
And Zack's got very good top pressure control. We saw that in his combat jiu-jitsu match with Humbertson there in Bridgeport last year. Good use of the collar tie here to keep some of that weight off of his chest, right? He's got that forearm in the collarbone there, so he's not carrying all of Hunt's weight into his chest.
It's turned into an interesting wrestling match so far. Neither guy is wanting to give any ground.
And we see Hunt finally getting that chest-to-chest connection. Now he's looking for that Ouchigari, but in the transition, Zack threatens to turn him. The overhook becomes a much more useful tool whenever you've got the forced upright posture that the cage affords. Overhooks in open space, generally not as strong as underhooks, but up against the cage when you can start to use it to off balance as a whizzer and set up Uchimatas, becomes a much more powerful tool.
Zack's got a strong overhook.
Yep, and you see right now he's got his hands connected too. He's got the double overs there.
And he's using that for counter pressure here. Anytime that you see Hunt try to get an angle there, Zack's just using that counter pressure.
Seems like Zack's trying to use the cage to kind of break that grip, too. See him kind of swaying back and forth there.
This is going to be a tough man to take down. His defense looks really solid.
I'm impressed at how well his shoulders are holding up in this double overhooks position. A man who just had his shoulder dislocated at one of the last, maybe the last New Line event.
Had almost a grimace on his face, though. It makes you wonder.
Yeah. And this is an exhausting position. Now we see Hunt starting to look for the transition between Kosoto and Ouchi, the outside hook and the inside hook. I'll learn you some Japanese by the time the day's over.
I'll try. When I first started, I was like, I'm going to learn the name of all these throws. And I gave up on that really quickly.
I remember whenever you were doing that breakdown of Czar's fight, you called Tani Otoshi by its right name, and I was like, that is a man that I respect. Valley drop.
Valley drop's one of my favorite takedowns still to this day. It's simple, and it works.
It's beautiful. It's one of my favorite, especially from rear body lock.
I like it from that T position a lot, from the side.
Yeah, when you got the head in front is when I think you have the most control with it.
Yeah, because
that was a good Uchimata
you use the head
yeah.
for the takedown. I think that was my most high percentage takedown was the Valley drop.
You know, interestingly enough, Danaher banned that in his gym because he said it's too dangerous. The other guy can turn into you. If the uke turns into you, when you have the head in front, they can dislocate their knee. I've only seen that ever happen once in training, but
the biggest risk with it is if you don't land right, if you don't have the right control, you'll end up on bottom.
Now we see them separate, and it's interesting. You know, they both appear to have. These are big boys, and we're 5 minutes into a clinch wrestling, which is the most exhausting part of fighting. Anybody will tell you, but I think we might see Hunt might be wearing it a little bit more at this point than Wilds is, because Zack's been able to keep his back up against the cage. Right, he's not been carrying his weight. He's letting the cage carry his weight. Zack settles back down into this double overhooks. Not a lot you can do with the double overhooks on the cage except for turn off and hit Uchimata. But you see Hunt went for Uchimata, but very difficult from that underhook position. Oh, and Zack was able to break the double unders whenever they got out into open space. Beautiful transitions. A lot of subtle, good upper body Greco and Judo going on here. Now we see Zack working for an underhook, but Hunt's able to use wrist control to push that hand back in and get back to his double unders.
And like we thought, this is turning into a wrestling match. Neither guy has really gotten too close to the takedown. It's a really even matchup on the feet, which makes you sad because I kind of wanted to see these guys grapple. Thank God for EBI overtime.
As somebody, I got a bunch of people with MMA fights coming up, so I've been doing a lot of wall wrestling and stuff, so this is actually pretty entertaining to me, but I might be the only person.
You know, for people transitioning from wrestling to MMA, how much of a game changer is that wall?
It's huge. It's not even like jiu-jitsu. It's not like wrestling. It's its own martial art. Wall wrestling is its own martial art.
I don't think I could dream of taking anybody down in the open. All my takedowns are off the wall. It changes everything.
You have to have those GSP level shots. Yeah. Those are the only kind of ones that you usually see finished in the open. You see like guys like Habib most of the time, they're grinding people into these positions and then using upper body clinches and then lower body trips, right? So they're getting that good chest-to-chest connection. So some of the judo techniques that you don't see very often in wrestling where there's so much space and there's no walls and the posture is generally much lower, right? You start to see some of those judo techniques apply more when you're up against the cage because everybody's posture is forced upright by the wall.
Zack's starting to wear that fatigue.
Yeah, they both are. I'm interested to see if we'll even get into some ground grappling here in this 216. And it's not like for lack of trying.
I don't see it happening.
Both of them have had some good attempts. We've seen a couple good trip attempts there by Josh Hunt, but we've also seen a couple nice Uchimata attempts by Zack Wilds using that overhook.
They're just too evenly matched here as wrestlers. Both of them doing a great job defending the other's takedown attempts. Josh Hunt's been leading the dance, though.
Yeah.
But if we're scoring this match so far, no points. So it's interesting. Zack keeps looking for that guillotine, and it might end up getting it. Well, actually,
I think he might get that proper sprawl there. Oh,
so close. His
Josh
head
Hunt's
slips out.
he's able to run the pipe and set him down on his butt.
And, you know, I was wrong. I said no points, but Josh Hunt did have a takedown earlier in the round.
Yeah, that's right. He did.
And it was the same position. He
Yeah.
ended up hunting for that guillotine, losing it, ended up taking down.
Zack lost.
Zach's just taking a little rest here.
He's not quite as anxious to work back to the wall and to turtle and stand again this time. I think he realizes we got 1 minute left and he's getting ready for OT. But it'll be interesting to see if Hunt tries to pass his guard and see if he can finish him here. Oh, but we get
Oh, wow,
a
look at
omoplata
that.
position. Now we're into a funk roll type transition.
And now he's going to take the back.
Oh, Hunt's
Oh, man, he's on the neck.
We got 38 seconds.
Neck crank here.
Tap.
Oh, wow. With 30 seconds left, Josh Hunt
Wow.
gets the finish. What a beautiful
Excellent
match
job
by both of these
by
guys.
Josh Hunt. He wasn't under the chin there. It was just a nasty neck crank.
Yeah,
that
and
guy's
when you
got
get-
a squeeze on him.
He's got to squeeze on him in when you get to this level of fatigue, when you got somebody who's trying to break your jaw and jamming your chin into your trachea.
Is it really worth it?
Yeah.
That's the question you ask yourself.
Wilds flip Swan the bird as he exits the cage.
Unimpressed with whatever the words were from his I believe that's his student.
His teammate.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have a winner by rear naked show from Charleston, West Virginia, Josh Hunt.
Excellent work by Josh Hunt. He was patient, finally found that top position and got the finish.